Welcome to the channel, folks. Today we're diving into some of the most bizarre military secrets that have been kept under wraps. We're talking mind control experiments, secret underground bunkers, UFO sightings, and maybe even some time travel rumors. You know, the kind of stuff that makes you question everything you thought you knew about the world. So buckle up, because we're about to take a trip down the rabbit hole of government conspiracies and shadowy military operations. Alright, let's kick things off with a real mind-bender. Project MKUltra, we're talking CIA-funded experiments in the 50s and 60s, and they weren't messing around. They wanted to crack the code of mind control, man. Think about it, controlling people's thoughts, their actions, maybe even turning them into sleeper agents. It sounds insane, right? But the CIA was pouring money into this stuff, trying to weaponize LSD, hypnosis, even electroshock therapy. They were experimenting on their own people. Man, soldiers, civilians, even unsuspecting folks just going about their day. They dosed this one tennis player, Harold Blower, with LSD without his knowledge. The guy had a bad trip, ended up dead. The CIA tried to cover it all up, of course. It's dark, man, real dark. So you thought MKUltra was wild? Hold on to your hats because it's about to get even crazier. Let's talk about Operation Northwoods. Imagine this. It's the early 1960s. Cold War tensions are running high, and the US government is looking for a reason to invade Cuba. So, what do they come up with? A plan so insane, so devious, that you'd think it came straight out of a Hollywood script, fake a terrorist attack on American soil, and blame it on Cuba. We're talking about staging bombings, hijacking planes, even sinking our own ships, all to drum up public support for a war. Luckily, this plan never saw the light of day. President Kennedy himself shut it down. Can you imagine the fallout if that had actually happened? It's scary, man. Alright, let's switch gears for a second and talk about one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century, the Philadelphia experiment. The story goes like this. In 1943, the US Navy allegedly conducted a top-secret experiment on a destroyer escort ship called the USS Eldridge. Their goal? To render the ship invisible to enemy radar. They were messing around with some crazy technology, powerful electromagnetic fields, the whole 9 yards, and then something unbelievable happened. Witnesses claim the Eldridge didn't just disappear from radar, it vanished into thin air. They say it reappeared moments later, but something was wrong. The crew was disoriented, sick, some were even fused to the metal of the ship. Now the Navy denies any of this ever happened, but the rumors persist. Now, let's talk about a real Cold War thriller, Project Iceworm. This was one of the most ambitious and secretive military projects of its time. Imagine this, it's the 1960s, the US and the Soviet Union are locked in a nuclear standoff, and the US military is looking for a new strategic advantage. The tension is palpable, and the stakes couldn't be higher. So they come up with a plan as audacious as it is terrifying. Build a secret network of mobile nuclear missile launch sites under the Greenland ice sheet. This was not just a simple idea, it was a massive undertaking that required immense resources and planning. They figured, who would suspect a thing? It was the perfect cover, a hidden nuclear arsenal buried beneath miles of ice and snow. The isolation and harsh conditions of Greenland made it an ideal location. They even built a whole fake base, Camp Century, as a cover story. This base was presented as a scientific research station, but its true purpose was far more sinister. But Mother Nature had other plans. The ice, which they thought would be stable, began to melt and shift in unexpected ways. The ice was more unstable than they thought, and the whole project started to literally fall apart. The shifting ice made it impossible to maintain the base and the missile sites. They had to abandon it, leaving behind a lot of questions and a whole lot of buried secrets. The remnants of this ambitious project still lie hidden under the ice, a chilling reminder of Cold War tensions. Alright, let's lighten the mood a bit with a story about military ingenuity and good old-fashioned trickery. The Ghost Army. Picture this, it's World War II and the Allies are facing off against the formidable German army. They need to outsmart their enemy, but how do you fool an army from right under their noses? Enter the Ghost Army, a top-secret unit of artists, sound engineers, and all-around creative minds. Their mission? To create the illusion of a much larger force, confusing the enemy and giving the real troops a tactical advantage. They were like masters of deception, using inflatable tanks, fake radio transmissions, even sound effects to mimic the sounds of a massive army on the move. The craziest part, it worked. Alright, let's dive into a morally complex chapter of history Operation Paperclip. It's the end of World War II, and the race is on to secure the spoils of war, including the brilliant minds that fueled the Nazi war machine. The US government, eager to get a leg up in the emerging Cold War, launched Operation Paperclip, a secret program to recruit German scientists, engineers, and technicians. We're talking about the guys who were developing rockets, nerve gas, and all sorts of advanced weaponry for the Nazis. Now, they were working for the US government. It was a controversial move to say the least. Some argued that these were brilliant minds who could help advance US interests. Others saw it as a betrayal, a moral compromise that ignored the atrocities committed by the Nazi regime. Alright, let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, UFOs. These mysterious objects have fascinated and puzzled us for generations. For decades, the government denied any interest in these unexplained aerial phenomena. They dismissed countless sightings and reports, leaving the public in the dark. They told us it was all just weather balloons and swamp gas. Simple explanations for complex and often baffling events. But then, something incredible happened. The narrative began to change, and the truth started to emerge. In 2017, the New York Times dropped a bombshell report revealing the existence of a secret Pentagon program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP. This revelation was a game-changer. This program, funded by the US government, was actively investigating UFO sightings, and they weren't just looking at grainy photos taken from someone's backyard. They had access to high-tech equipment and credible witnesses. They had pilots reporting encounters with objects performing maneuvers beyond the capabilities of any known aircraft. These were highly trained professionals witnessing the unexplainable. We're talking about hypersonic speeds, defying gravity, the whole shebang. These objects were doing things that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The Pentagon tried to downplay the program, but it was too late. The cat was out of the bag, and the public was now aware. Suddenly, UFOs weren't just the stuff of conspiracy theories anymore. They were a legitimate subject of investigation and public interest. Alright, let's talk about a modern-day mystery that sounds like it came straight out of a spy thriller, the Havana Syndrome. Starting in 2016, US diplomats and intelligence officers stationed in Havana, Cuba, began reporting a strange array of symptoms: dizziness, headaches, hearing loss, cognitive difficulties. Some even suffered brain damage. The cause? Unknown. But the speculation ran wild. Was it a sonic attack? Some kind of directed energy weapon? Were the Cubans behind it, or maybe even the Russians? Theories ranged from microwave attacks to pesticide poisoning, but no one could pinpoint the exact cause. The strange thing is, similar cases started popping up in other parts of the world: China, Europe, even Washington, D.C. To this day, the cause of Havana Syndrome remains a mystery. Alright, let's dive into a creepypasta classic, a story so disturbing, so unsettling that it's been shared and reshared countless times on the internet: the Russian sleep experiment. This tale has captivated the imaginations of many, blurring the lines between reality and fiction. The story goes like this. In the late 1940s, Soviet scientists conducted a terrifying experiment on 5 political prisoners. These prisoners were promised their freedom if they participated in this gruesome study. They wanted to see what would happen if they deprived humans of sleep for an extended period of time. The goal was to understand the effects of prolonged sleep deprivation on the human mind and body. They sealed these guys in a chamber, pumped it full of an experimental gas to keep them awake, and observed their every move. The gas was supposed to eliminate the need for sleep entirely. For the first few days, things were fine. The subjects seemed to be coping well, and the scientists were optimistic. But then, things took a dark turn. The lack of sleep began to take its toll, and the subjects started to show signs of severe stress. The subjects became agitated, paranoid, even delusional. Their mental state deteriorated rapidly, and they began to lose touch with reality. They started exhibiting signs of extreme psychosis, hallucinating, mutilating themselves. The experiment had unleashed a nightmare. It was like something out of a horror movie. The scenes were so disturbing that they seemed almost unreal. The experiment spiraled out of control, and the scientists were forced to terminate it. They had no choice but to end the madness. But the damage was done. The aftermath was catastrophic. leaving both the subjects and the scientists deeply scarred. Let's wrap things up with a concept that has captivated our imaginations for decades. The Manchurian Candidate. It's the ultimate fear, the idea that someone could be brainwashed into becoming an assassin, a sleeper agent programmed to kill without conscience or memory. The term comes from the 1959 novel and subsequent film adaptations, which depicted a Korean War soldier brainwashed by communists to assassinate a US presidential candidate. It's a chilling thought, the idea that someone could be turned into a weapon, their mind twisted and manipulated to carry out someone else's bidding. While there's no definitive proof of governments successfully creating Manchurian candidates, the possibility remains a disturbing thought. It makes you question who you can trust and whether our own minds are truly our own. Well folks, there you have it, 10 weird military secrets that might have kept you up at night. From mind control experiments to secret underground bunkers, we've covered some of the most bizarre and unsettling stories from the annals of military history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more intriguing content.